let's move on to a game that everybody was going absolutely nuts about when it first came out because they couldn't find it.
Yep.
Spyfall.
Yep. Designed by Alexandr Ushan. Art by Sergey Dulin, and artist just known by Uildrim.
He's like the Madonna of the artists.
I guess. Have you heard this guy before? Or
No.
Okay. Sure. Published by Cryptozoic.
We're trying to make it a point to allow artists to have their name out there, right? We're always talking about the artist of a game.
Oh, yeah.
So we're trying to learn these names, but a lot of them is, I just need to pay a better attention to these artists.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know who's doing what. Anyway, Spyfall, if you haven't heard, is a deduction game where there's a bunch of deck of cards in the box. Each deck is identical, so they're all locations. So you might have an airplane. All the cards in it are airplanes, the exact same card, except for a bottom piece, which we won't even talk about for right now. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle up all these location decks. They all are in different baggies. You're going to pull one out without looking at it. You're going to deal out the spy card. Each deck has a spy card. It's all identical spy cards. You deal out the spy card to a player and a copy of the location to the rest of the players. I think it plays up to 8. And what happens is you have 8 minutes to ask each other questions to try to deduce who do you think the spy is, because the spy is not going to know where you're at. But the spy is also trying to figure out where he's at, so he can flip over his card, say, I'm the spy, and say, I think we're here. And then if he's correct, he wins. If not, the rest of the players win. So it's a one versus all kind of game. Mm-hmm. The way you ask questions, though, is you start the timer. One person who's pretty much the dealer is going to ask a question. So I might ask Matt, like, what type of clothes would you wear to this place? And then you would respond how you want to. And then you get to ask a question to anyone else but the person who asked the question to you. So it's constantly moving around from player to player.
Right.
And then, like I said, at any point, the spy can reveal himself, say where he's at, or the other players can pause the game during the 8 minutes and make an accusation saying, I think Matt's the spy, and then everybody thumbs up, thumbs down. It has to be unanimous. If it's unanimous, they reveal themselves. If it's a location, the players lose. If it's a spy card, the players win. The location players.
Right.
So, Matt, how many times have you played this? Was that the first time
That was the first time I'd played it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I've played it a crazy amount, especially with family and things like that. What did you think? So that way I'm not saying anything to skew anything that you're going to think or say, I mean.
The game was, typical deduction game, asking questions.
How many people do we have? I forgot. Was it 6 or 5?
5 or 6. I can't remember. But the only problem I had with it, and maybe it's just because it fell on me, I became the spy 2 times in a row. If you're not familiar with the game, people can pick on you just because you're they'll ask you a question. Maybe you can, bullcrap your way through that. But when it comes to you asking a question, you can give yourself, because I know one of them times I asked a question, it was like instantaneously. Everybody like raised their hand, was fighting over, no, I said it. I'm calling them out, because they wanted to get the points. And so, if you're not familiar with the locations, then it's really easy to pick, who the spy is.
It's definitely a game that rewards a group of players who've played it a lot. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's a game where you need to know all the locations as well.
Definitely.
One thing we've been doing recently is when you ask somebody a question, you slide in the rule book, the middle pages that, it's a bifold. The middle of the rule book has all pictures of all the locations. And so we slide that to the player, and then you ask your question. And we have a house rule that you have to be looking at the paper when you answer. And that's, we did that too.
Yes.
And it's just because if you're not looking at it, then it gives a lot of confidence of where you're at. Now, you could play the devil's advocate to that and say that maybe they're just trying to be overconfident even though they don't know where they're at.
Right.
But every time we've played, it's usually with somebody who's new. And so it just helps them look at all these locations and think of a response and things like that if they are the spy. Or even if they're not the spy, because they're going to have to ask a question as well, and they don't want to give it away. If you might want to say, would you carry a gun here? Well, just because you're asking that, it automatically thinks that or makes people think that maybe you're on a military base of some kind, or
Right.
some kind of military establishment, or maybe a police station. I don't know if it's one of them, but
Yeah, I think you had both of those in it, maybe.
like the embassy, things like that.
Right.
It does narrow it down a lot. I don't know. Like, it's just a house rule we kind of did. I kind of wish I would print that middle thing
For everybody to have.
Yeah, have like 8 copies of that. But I feel like the players who, it would still kind of give it away though.
Because the spy would just constantly be staring at it while everyone else is just up looking around at each other. So.
Exactly. So I'm probably fine with the way it is now, but I really enjoy this game. I will say that, I don't know, we played with points though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I play this with no points. It's like a telestrations kind of activity.
Right.
Where you just play, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. You just do the next game. And I feel like that's a better way to play it because the scoring system does work pretty well. But I don't know. Then you can get people who might metagame it and be like, oh, let's just automatically lose this one so he doesn't get the last point and win. Not that we did that, but
right.
I don't know why you would do that in this game,
mm-hmm.
but I guess it's plausible. It can happen to where somebody might just try to power game
right.
a game of Spyfall. I feel very sad for your gaming group if you have somebody in it that might try this or have done it and was really excited about it. But at the same time, it does make it, playing with points does make it worth being the spy because you get 2 points basically for
right.
most cases or whatever, where everybody else is going to get 1. So I don't know. It does have a good scoring system. I'm not saying it's bad. Like a lot of these type of games have bad scoring systems.
Yeah.
I feel like this one works out pretty well. But yeah, it's a really fun game. We recently just played this with Rachel's family. They all came in town or whatever, and we played it. And they're the type of people where it's like, nah, I don't know if I want to play a game, And then you're like, let's just play it. Then we play it, and it's like, let's keep playing
yes.
it. And we played it like, I don't know, like one night werewolf amount of times in
yes.
one night. It was
right.
crazy. We weren't playing for points, and no one kind of got, there was a lot of cool stuff that happened. We were still just as entertained. I don't feel like you need points for this game, but teach their own.
Right.
Good game, though.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or anything you want to bring up about it?
I mean, I'd like to try it some more and get more familiar with the locations. That way I could, have a more enjoyable time playing it.
Speaking of locations, the Dice Tower and some other promos, they have like a stadium, like a hockey stadium card that they put into it. The only problem with that is the more promos you put into the game.
It's not in the book.
It's not in the book. So I don't know about that. I don't know if this game really needs expansions.
That's for the people that really know the game.
Yeah, if you really know the game, yeah. Now, I remember watching a long time ago the Board Game Geeks review, and he talked about adding a second spy card for upper player counts, like 6, 7, 8 kind of thing.
Okay.
What do you think that would... It's all speculation, but do you think you would enjoy that? It would be cool because then you're like, whoa, who's the spy?
Yeah, I mean, normally whenever you got hidden role kind of games and you start throwing an extra one in, it tends to, ramp up the suspicion.
Yeah.
So.
Or what happens if that second spy is an accomplice? And it was like the location card, but it just had a confidential stamp that said accomplice.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to throw everybody off by purposely getting stuff wrong. Then you're like, you're being really stupid about this location.
Oh, yeah. That would actually be fun.
You're like, why would people wear, whatever he says? It's kind of like you're being a little way too over the top with your stupidity.
Now that could be cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like that could be a mechanic that would be fun.
That actually would be kind of neat to try out. I don't know how we would do it. I guess we could take another spy card and kind of put like a post-it on it that said accomplice. And you couldn't do it at one of the location cards and put something on there because I wouldn't want to write on the cards or anything. Or write on the sleeve.
I was going to say you sleeve them, right?
Yeah, I'll just write on the sleeve. We're going to try this out, people.
Okay.
Make it a variant and see how it goes.
There you go.
Bam. Anyway, that's Spyfall.
Yep.